Griffith is one of the most psychologically disturbing characters in anime history, because underneath the beauty, charisma, and ambition, there was always an emptiness powerful enough to sacrifice everything. Berserk is not just a dark fantasy story. It's a psychological tragedy about ambition, obsession, loneliness, trauma, and the cost of chasing a dream. And Griffith represents all of those themes perfectly. At first glance, Griffith looks almost unreal. Calm, beautiful, intelligent, charismatic. People naturally follow him, trust him, admire him. But psychologically, Griffith is deeply disconnected emotionally from normal human attachment. Everything in his life revolves around one thing, his dream, and that obsession slowly destroys his humanity over time. From childhood, Griffith believed he was destined for greatness. Not just success, greatness. This is important because Griffith's identity depends on achieving his dream. Without it, he feels emotionally empty. That's why ambition becomes more than motivation for him. It becomes psychological survival. People like him often develop extreme perfectionism and emotional detachment because failure feels psychologically unbearable to them. And Griffith cannot tolerate feeling ordinary. He wants meaning powerful enough to justify all suffering around him. He cares about his soldiers, but also views them as sacrifices for his larger purpose. One of Griffith's strongest psychological traits is control. He controls his emotions, his appearance, his words, and how others perceive him. People are naturally drawn toward calm confidence and emotional certainty, and Griffith understands human psychology very well. But underneath that control, there's fear, because Griffith's identity is fragile underneath perfection. The moment he loses control over his dream, his psychology begins collapsing completely. Guts is one of the only people who affected Griffith emotionally in a genuine way, and that terrified Griffith psychologically. Griffith built his identity around ambition, but Guts created emotional attachment he could not fully control. This is why Guts leaving affects him so deeply. Psychologically, his identity shattered. After losing control of his life, Griffith experiences complete psychological destruction. He loses power, beauty, status, and freedom. When faced with absolute despair, he chooses ambition over humanity completely. The eclipse is not just betrayal. It is Griffith abandoning human attachment entirely. His dream matters more than guilt, morality, or love. After becoming Femto, Griffith changes psychologically. The emotional conflict inside him nearly disappears. Empathy becomes weaker. Femto represents what happens when someone fully sacrifices empathy for power. No guilt, no hesitation, only control and destiny. Griffith fears emotional powerlessness more than anything. He needs control, meaning, superiority, and purpose. Griffith is not evil in a simple way. He is psychologically tragic. A person so obsessed with destiny that he sacrifices every human part of himself. Subscribe to TheMindWiz to understand your mind.